Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, you guys know what we're doing. We are filming a classics reading vlog and I am so excited. I feel like as we enter the fall season, I definitely associate the fall time with reading classics. I feel like it's very difficult for me to pick up these books in the spring or the summertime. I don't really know exactly why that is. I feel like a lot of times it's because they're a little bit slower moving. A lot of them are cozier, not necessarily crazy high stakes plots or anything, just like cozy little classics reads. And if you guys watched my September TBR video, not one, but two classics got chosen in the TBR wheel, and there are quite a few classics that I want to get off my physical TBR. So with my September TBR in mind, and also just the classics that I want to read this fall, we are going to be doing a freaking classics reading vlog. But for all the classics besties who really wanted to see this video, this one is for you guys. So I think without further ado, we're just gonna jump into the video and get into our first classic book, and I will see you guys there. The first book that we are going to be reading for this video is Animal Farm by George Orwell. I have been wanting to read Animal Farm by George Orwell ever since I picked up 1984 by this author like 2 months ago, maybe at this point. And this is now my second book by George Orwell. And this king strikes again. I'm currently 40% of the way into Animal Farm, and full transparency, this book is extremely short. I don't actually know how many pages it is. I'm going back and forth between the ebook and the audiobook. I was able to check out both of those from my library. I really wanted to read the illustrated edition because Cot from Cot Reads a Lot. She said that the illustrated edition adds like another layer to the experience. And so I was not able to find that at my library, like the real book, if that makes sense. And basically in this book, we are following a bunch of animals on a farm, and it's exactly what it sounds like. And these animals are all anthropomorphized. They have names, they have personalities. We are following them as they essentially take over control of their farm from their lazy, would it be farmhand, the owner of the farm, the man who runs the farm, his farm. And so they take over the farm from him, but they're like, we have to create our own set of rules, our own set of ideals, and the story goes from there. Now, I'm gonna say this right now. I feel like when a lot of people read classics, they say things that happen later in the classic and think it's not a spoiler because it's a classic. I don't feel that way. The books that I'm going to be reading for this video, I don't know anything about them, and so I'm not going to tell you how they end. I'm not going to assume that you know what happens in them. So that's about as much as I can tell you about the plot and the synopsis of Animal Farm because this story is so short. But I really like how George Orwell is centralizing on some, I don't know if stereotypes is the right word. The pigs and the dogs are pretty smart. There's some other animals like the goats and the ducks are like not that smart. They're not really catching on to the rules, not really picking up on things. And I'm very curious to see where we go from here because it's obvious that some kind of political commentary is being made through this story. And I'm definitely going to be reading an analysis of this book after I finish it, just so I take away as much from it as I possibly can. But yes, this book is so far very easy to understand, very easy to read. So if there's anyone afraid of classics, this is a great place to start because it's very short, it's very very easy to understand, and it's kind of fun. I'm kind of eating up hanging out with all these farm animals. Yeah, so far so good. I will update you guys either when I'm further in or when I finish the book. Hi besties, it's a new day. I think it's like 1, maybe 2 days later from the last time that I talked to you guys, but I did finish Animal Farm. It's such a short book, so honestly I was like, why update them a few pages later when I could just update you when I finish the book? So I finished the book. I feel like the first thing that I noticed about this story is there are so many, like, cannot stress enough how many similarities there are between this book and 1984 by George Orwell. Again, I don't want to say exactly what happens on the farm because I don't believe that there are no spoilers in classics. I think I said that before. But one of the big themes in 1984 is this idea of your past and your knowledge and the things that you know being rewritten. And that theme and idea comes up so much in Animal Farm. Like, who can you trust? Can you trust your own mind? Can you trust the people who you follow, the people that lead you? And there's obviously a lot of political commentary going on in this story that I also found to be very, very interesting, especially when we're looking at it through these anthropomorphized animals. It was just something that I'd never experienced before or read about before in this kind of way. And I also, there was this really interesting point that I felt like Orwell was making about the circularity and just like the cyclical nature of humans and human societies, and this idea that even when we try to escape these systems and these political structures that we don't like or we think are so flawed, for one reason or another, we make our way back to them in different ways. I just found the way that he was able to do that very, very interesting. I would recommend, I feel like this one, even more than 1984, is wonderful for beginners. But yes, I don't rate classics, so just know that I liked it. And now it's time to pick my next classic. And we're gonna make this quick because I am having a bit of a struggle for this video. I don't know which of these I want to read. The first one that we have is The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. This is the book that I think would feel the best to get off my TBR because I've had it for longer, you know? But it's also a bit thicker. She's like 430 pages, but I am very intrigued by the premise. And then our other option is The Lives of Girls and Women by Alice Munro. And this book is, I believe, Alice Munro's only novel, and a lot of the events in this book are very similar or they resemble things that actually happened in Alice Munro's life. It says autobiographical in form but not in fact, and I find that very interesting. I don't know, like, I really have no idea which one of these two to read, but they're both classics, and they're also the only classics that I have on my shelf at the moment, so these are what we're working with. They're both giving very strong feminine energy, and I like that a lot. I think I prefer to read this one next, but I'm gonna feel better if I read this one next, and therefore I think I'm gonna go with The House of Mirth. We're gonna do this. Hopefully I'll also get to this book in this video, but right now we're gonna read The House of Mirth. Okay, wish me luck, besties. The House of Mirth. I have started, and honestly I am enjoying it so far. One of my good friends actually from back home, we both decided to read this book for our book club. So now I have multiple reasons to read this book. We have our classics reading vlog, and then my TBR wheel picked it, and I'm doing it for book club. Currently, I'm on page 50 exactly, and I feel like I'm getting a better idea of this story and what this book is about. And in the House of Mirth, we're following our main character, Lily Bart, and right at the beginning of the story, it becomes very clear to her that in order to do well, she needs to find herself a wealthy husband. And it seems like it's going to really be a character study following Lily. And so at the start of the story, we see her, she's at the train station waiting to catch this train to hopefully go somewhere to meet a wealthy husband. But she runs into, I guess he would be her friend. She runs into like a friend or an acquaintance, and they like have tea together and talk about essentially like the goals of life and how it's unfair that she as a woman has to like marry and find a husband, but her friend, the guy, like doesn't have to. Anyway, I also really like that this is set in New York. We're hearing a little bit about Lily's family and why she feels so strongly about the things that she does. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. Like, is she gonna find a wealthy husband? I have no idea. I really have no clue. And it's very clear too that Wharton's writing is really, really good. At times it is a little bit difficult for me to understand, only because the vocabulary of this time is very different from our current time. So that's something to keep in mind if you do pick up this book. I kind of wish I was reading it on my Kindle so I could just like hold the words down and it would just magically, the definition would just magically pop up. But I don't have access to an ebook right now, so we're reading it like this. But so far so good. I'm not like riveted, but I'm really, really happy to have started this book and be getting it off my physical TBR. So once I'm further in and have more stronger opinions, I will let you guys know what I think. Hello, my sweet friends. It is a few days later now, and I have a reading update for you guys on the House of Mirth. First things first, I don't know if I thought that this was Edith Wharton's like only famous book, but I'm working on a classics book recommendations video right now, and spoiler, one of the books that's going to be in that is Ethan Frome. Guys, I had no idea that she wrote that too. Revelation aside, I wanted to tell you guys how I am feeling about the House of Mirth now that I have made quite a bit of progress. Currently, I am on page 281, which is over halfway through this book. And at the beginning, I was definitely a little bit bored. This was moving a little bit slowly. We are basically following a bunch of New York socialites as they gossip about who's gonna marry who and all of that good, juicy gossip stuff. But you aren't really following anything super specific besides Lily Bart looking for a husband who happens to be stacked with cash. The old-timey writing combined with the fact that we weren't really following anything super closely wasn't holding my attention, which is fine. I don't look for books that hold my attention in that way. When we're looking at classics, it's not what I read them for. But at the same time, now that I've made more progress into the story, I feel like I have a much better grasp on who is who, because we're like gossiping about literally everybody all the time. There's a lot of characters to keep track of, and for a while that was confusing for me, and it still is a little bit confusing, but I'm doing so much better now. And dare I say, there is a dash of romance in here. I don't think it resembles any kind of romance that I read normally, but if you are looking for that, a classic that has a dash of forbidden love is not the right term, but it's the only thing that gets kind of close to what I'm looking for. If you've read this, you know. But yeah, I'm a lot more invested now, and after about the 50% mark, the audiobook from my library became available. I love it when audiobooks become available while I'm reading the physical book. So now I can just crochet. I'm learning to crochet right now. I signed up for a little crochet class in my town, and so I signed up for that. And so what I've been doing for the last few chapters is crocheting and listening to the House of Mirth, and the audiobook is very atmospheric. So I'm sure I'll be switching back and forth pretty consistently now, but yeah, so far so good. I'm definitely enjoying it. Slow to start, but again, that's fine because it's a classic and that's what we expect. So I will update you guys probably when I finish this book, and then we will pick up our third and final read of the video. Reading update. It is a day, maybe 2 days later since the last time I updated this video, and I did finish The House of Mirth, and this book really took me on a journey. I feel like thinking back to where we started in this story and realizing where we ended, there's just such a huge, I don't know if transformation is the right word, but so much goes on and goes down between when we start and when we finish this book. As we approached the end of this story, it became very clear to me that we were looking at the opposition of two ideas when it came to what Lily valued. And I felt like we were ultimately asking the question, is poverty or loneliness worse? It seems like Lily was constantly at war with money and wealth and having money to buy all of the material things that she wants, and ultimately just paying all her bills. And if you've read this book, you know what I mean. And then also this idea of having a partner, having friendships, having people to share this life that we're all trying to figure out with. And it was very, very interesting to watch Lily as she navigated these two things. And it was interesting too, because from the beginning, she desperately wants money. We knew immediately that she was looking for a wealthy husband because she associates wealth with happiness, with stability, with everything that you could want, especially in this society where having money is your ticket to doing anything. And it was interesting because as this book progressed, Lily ended up having less and less money, and she wanted it more and more. And again, her hunt, it's difficult because I don't want to spoil anything, even though this is a classic, no spoilers. Her hunt for a husband continues throughout the book, and gosh, this ending, can we talk about this ending? I can't. I don't want to spoil anything. Oh, this is so hard. All of this is to say, I really, really did enjoy this book. I'm glad that I read it. I didn't realize that I had read other books by Edith Wharton before, so I'm glad to have gotten another one on my list. And yeah, I had so much fun reading this. And I know that I said that I was going to read the lives. I think it's the lives of girls and women. But I really want to get this video up for you guys, so I think I'm going to end this video here, and we'll have just read Animal Farm and The House of Mirth. But I'll probably do another reading vlog where I read more classics, or I specifically read the lives of girls and women. Not really sure exactly how that's going to go, but yeah, I wanted to get this video up for you guys. This is me trying, I just wanted you to know. And then lastly, I wanted to give a shout out to some of my beautiful subscribers who I'm so grateful for every single day. And first, I wanted to give a shout out to Chloe, who is very excited to hear my opinions on Carrie Soto is Back. I cannot wait to read this book and share all of my feelings with you guys because I just love anything that Taylor Jenkins Reid produces. So I'm very, very excited about that. And then I also wanted to give a shout out to @BrieReadsBooks, who we were relating because the Atlas 6 has been sitting on our shelves for simply way too long, and I actually do have some hopeful plans to be reading that book in the next month or so, assuming I can get to all the reading vlogs that I want to film, so TBD, but hopefully you and me can just get it off our list. But I think that's going to be it for me for this classics reading vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting me and supporting my channel. I hope you're having a great day and a great reading month, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!